Britain's courts must respect Africa's indigenous faiths. The 2010 Equalities Act is a key piece of legislation in the United Kingdom that brings together and strengthens previous anti-discrimination laws into a single, coherent framework. Its purpose is to protect individuals from unfair treatment and promote a fair and more equal society. The Act makes it illegal to discriminate against someone on the basis of their protected characteristics, which include religion or belief, amongst others. The Act covers various forms of unfair treatment, including direct discrimination, treating someone less favourably because of a protected characteristics; indirect discrimination, putting rules or arrangements in place that apply to everyone but disadvantage a particular group; harassment, unwanted behaviour linked to protected characteristics that violates someone's dignity or creates a hostile environment; victimisation, treating someone unfairly because they've complained about discrimination or supported someone who has. The Equalities Act of 2010 has helped to simplify the law, making it easier for individuals to understand their rights and for employers, service providers, public bodies, education providers, landlords and housing providers to understand their responsibilities in promoting equality and preventing discrimination. What happens when a British citizen who believes their ancestors are sacred has to swear an oath in a court that only seems to recognise one kind of God? Picture it. You are in a British courtroom. The air is thick with the weight of the law. You've been called to give evidence, to speak your truth on something that could change a life forever. You approach the witness box. An usher gives you a choice. Swear an oath on a holy book that means nothing to you, or make a cold, secular affirmation that feels stripped of all spiritual meaning. For you, truth is a sacred promise, a bond connecting you to your family line, to the earth, and to the tradition your people carried for thousands of years. But in this courtroom, that sacred bond doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a box to tick. This isn't just a thought experience, it's a quite ongoing crisis of respect happening every day in Britain's justice system. It's a crisis that shows a deep, systematic disregard for African indigenous religions, which are too often dismissed by the very institutions that meant to deliver impartial justice. This isn't about old tradition clashing with modern rules. It's about whether the British legal system right now in the 21st century is capable of seeing and respecting the spiritual heritage of all its citizens. African indigenous spiritual heritage to create a harmonious ecology of balance, sustainability, and continuity. African indigenous spirituality is the umbrella term for all various expressions of faith found across Africa and in the diaspora. They all share at least 5 key tenets that reflect their common source, as they are in essence branches from the same tree. African indigenous spirituality. These core tenets include a supreme being or source of creation, Godhead, a knowledge and affiliation with natural forces, the Orisas, Lawas, Abusam, Naturis, Nkisi, Working with nature, herbalism, healing methodologies, using nature-based elements, understanding of and working across realms of existence, physical and spiritual, ancestors, ancestorhood, prayer, invocation forms such as libation, drumming, singing, offerings, and divination rituals. African Indigenous spirituality. At its core is the understanding that the Creator is all things and is not separate from that created. Thus, its vastness cannot be contained in a single theory or idea. Using the African system of understanding the nature of being, one cannot conclude that there is only one divinity. Neither can one conclude many created deities. At best, one can accept that the nature of divinity is one, but the attributes of the one are found in the numerous manifestation as the many. Human Rights Act 1998, Article 9, Freedom of Thought, Conscience and Religion. Section 1. Everyone has the right of freedom of thought, conscience and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief and freedom, either alone or in community, with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice and observance. The Equalities Act 2010, Section 9. Religion or belief is a protected characteristic under the Equalities Act. Under this Act, religion means any religion, and a reference to religion includes a reference to a lack of religion. Section B. Belief means any religious or philosophical belief, and a reference to belief includes a reference to a lack of belief. Uphold your rights. Swears in a British court. Hindu oath. I swear by Bhagwan that I will well and faithfully interpret and true explanation make of all such matters and things shall be required of me, according to the best of my skills and understanding. Muslim oath. I promise before Allah that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Sikh oath. I swear, according to Sundar Gupta, that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Swearing an oath in a British court. African Indigenous spirituality adherents may use these words. I swear by Ali Dumari that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I swear by Nzambi that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I swear by Myanmar that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Remember to uphold your rights. Yes. This isn't just some abstract legal debate. It's a conversation about the character and conscience of 21st century Britain. We want to hear from you. Join the conversation in the comment below. Share your thoughts, your stories, your vision for a more just society. And if this message resonates, please share this video. By spreading awareness, you support the vital work of the Council of African and Diasporic Indigenous Spiritual Systems, fighting on the front line for this long overdue recognition. Decolonizing our institutions isn't easy. It won't happen overnight. But it begins with these fundamental acts of respect, recognizing the validity of an ancient faith isn't radical. It's a simple, profound, and necessary step forward towards justice. The work is far from over. The work continues.
And the work continues. Yes, we've got an exciting, truly stimulating, inspirational interview in 45 minutes' time when I have my special guest for us all to appreciate and understand the issues that are being raised in British court today, not recognizing the importance of African indigenous religious and faith systems. We will get to this, but truly, this will be an inspirational podcast. This is the motivator here. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. That you have to believe, people. That you have to believe. That's why the Motivator Show is here, to translate words into action, because success is ours for the taking. In unity is strength. I say again, in unity is strength. Working together, collaborative working, yeah? That's the only way forward, yeah? If you want to go fast, go alone, it's fine. You go fast, zip, 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 zip. But if you want to go long, if you want to go sustainably, we do this together. It's the foundation, that's philosophy. It's the foundation of all civilizations. And together we will be successful. Survival is a must. That's why we collaborate. That's why we collaborate. Understanding those fundamentals, regardless of your ethnic heritage, we're together. Regardless of your religious affiliation, we're together. Regardless of your gender, we're together. Regardless of your education, we're together. And together, we will make the difference. We are but one people, one species, one race. Oh yeah, don't believe the capitalist propaganda or other propaganda. We are but one race. We're one species. And that's why we're able to integrate across the board. And the anti-humans want you to divide yourselves. Speak of others from another country or members of the same species, the same race, as different, as alien, as foreign. And if they can do that, divide and rule, so they can continue to hold all the wealth, all the power for themselves, while we scribble around for what? The scraps. That's why the last podcast was so important. You saw hubris, you saw greed manifest. The big, beautiful bill. Yeah, that's what the 47th president called it. But what it did, it transferred trillions of dollars from the ordinary people, from the poor, to the rich. So the rich, on average, gain more than $308,000 each, on average. Yep. Well, the ordinary people, those on ordinary salaries, end up paying more tax and services. Why can that be morally correct and justifiable? Over a 10-year period, it will add to the American national debt more than $3.4 trillion. A quite astonishing figure. A quite astonishing figure. So we just need to think this through. We need to think this through. And together we can make the difference. Yeah. Together we can make the difference. Anyway, I want to thank my guest, Stephen, last week for his tremendous contribution to our dialogue. That was outstanding. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Tremendous contribution. And what I'm convinced of now is that we've got to keep talking, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your religious affiliation, regardless of your social class. We must keep talking to each other so we can better understand each other. And in doing so, we're no longer foreigners to each other. We're no longer, to use an awful term, alien to each other. Alien typically means another species, when we actually one species, one human family. Yeah. Together we can make the difference. Stay strong, people. Stay strong. And the motivator is here to inspire, to motivate you, to improve yourselves, your family, your wider networks. Yeah. And together, we will make a difference. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for what was an outstanding podcast last time out. Thank you. Thank you. And many of you, of course, who've been part of this journey with us in understanding the real issues as they affect us all, okay? Will each of you understand why I speak this way? Because we must overcome the negative propaganda that we're all exposed to. We must overcome it. But to do so, you've got to be just a little courageous. Because the negative propaganda permeates our environment, you know? And by that I mean the falsehood about other people's. Yeah, it's falsehood, divide and rule. Yeah, it's a falsehood. But you've got to be strong enough, hold the line, to respect your neighbours, or at least reach out to those neighbours, you know, so you can find a means of communication, find peace. Yep, yep, cooperation. And once you're able to cooperate with your neighbours, or not necessarily a member of your family, yeah, but cooperate with your neighbours, we can together transform the world. It's within our reach. It is ultimately within our gift. Ultimately within our gift. Because we are, as King Kabale would say of the African Continental Unity Party, he said here on the Motivated Show, we are the change makers. Yeah, we are all the leaders. Yeah, we are all equally responsible. In other words, you don't put the responsibility of one person to affect the changes. We're all part of that change process. So I think of someone such as that great leader of that great country, Burkina Faso. I refer, of course, to President Ibrahim Traore, a young man, a compassionate man who cares about the land, cares about the people. Yeah, and is demonstrating of African governance without the pressure of latter-day colonialist mentalities around him. He's displaying the future of Africa. Mhm. But he makes it clear, as King Kabada of the Continental African Unity Party makes it clear, we're all responsible for the changes that happens in society. We must not put it on one person to abrogate our responsibilities. Together, we will make a difference. Hold hands, hold your neighbor's hand, and you gain the strength from that neighbor. And in doing so, we will move together as one. Be transformative. I say to the people of the United States of America, who've allowed such a bill to go through Congress, we transfer wealth from the poorest Americans to the richest Americans on a scale never seen before. America is giving capitalism a bad name. I'm going to say it again. America is giving capitalism a bad name. At least here in Britain, there with the new Labour Party in control, there is attempt for equalisation. Yeah, there is at least attempt at equalisation, recognising we could support those in greatest need. Yeah, we do not allow them to fall by the wayside or on the roadside and die without our care and attention. That is immoral. We are more civilised than that. Well done, Keir Starmer and the Labour government. Long may you continue those great works and examples of what we need to do across the world to take care of our neighbours. Yeah, help our neighbours, particularly in their greatest need. Be a caring, compassionate neighbour. Yeah, and in doing so, you receive it many back. Hey, back, and together we will transform the world. To reflect our moral standpoint, because we reflect the majority population, not the minority. We're actually the majority population. But we need to assert our influence over political and economic processes so they better serve our needs. I paused there because I wanted you to hear those words from the motivator, where we translate our words into action because success is ours for the taking. You understand? There's the digital thumbs up. There you go. I know you appreciate it. And thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. And you haven't, and you're on YouTube, you haven't subscribed. It's free. Doesn't cost you a penny. Doesn't cost you a penny. But don't leave without leaving a comment, please. We want to hear your comment, your feedback to the words here on The Motivator Show. And together we will make the difference. All righty. Now, I also want to recognize maybe one or two other contributors to the Motivator Show. And I know you will acknowledge these persons as well, because they have really made a real difference to how we progress as a communities. Okay, and when I say communities, I'm of course referring to one of you, regardless of your ethnicities. Each one of you, regardless of your religious affiliation. Each one of you, regardless of your gender. Yeah, each one of you, regardless of your age or education or social standing. Because we are but one people. Yeah. Many ethnicities, but one people. Yeah. Ethnicity simply reflects sort of regionalization. That's all. That's all it is. But we remain one people. A true alien visiting this planet for the very first time will see one people, one race, one species. Mhm. There you go. All right. Very important. And you can hold on to those words, then you'll see your neighbors, yeah, as neighbors, as human beings, not as someone else over there, but as human beings, an extension of your family. There you go. And together we will make the difference. So I want to give a big shout out to Anthony Brown. Okay, you recall that awful situation we still have here in Britain, referred to as the Windrush scandal. It's really important for those of you across the world. Okay, where Parliament, the British Parliament, over a series of decades, disenfranchised people that they invited to come to Britain following the Second World War and the decimation of the working population. So they invited people from the Caribbean and Africa to come to Britain. Why? Because they were part of the British Commonwealth or Empire. Under the 1948 Act, persons born in the Commonwealth, the Empire, were considered British and therefore did not require a passport to come to Britain. Yes, it is true. Yeah. My parents and myself did not require a passport to come to Britain. Yeah. I was a baby. This is true. Can you imagine? But Parliament, and as a result of a independent report, permission by the Home Office, which is like the State Department in the US, okay, concluded that Parliament enacted what are in fact racist laws to reduce the numbers of non-white people entering the country, and more importantly, those who are present to disenfranchise them, yeah, take away their nationhood. A true criminal act, a human rights violation. And the after effect of that is still being felt here today in Britain. Yeah, 50, 60 years after that action by Parliament. Okay? So the Windrush Act is a necessary piece of legislation to correct the past 40 legislation of the past 40 years. I would give praise and recognise Anthony Brown, leading the campaign, all those in the Windrush campaign. I honour and respect you. Okay. And if in doubt on these matters, I encourage others to ask questions. Okay. If in doubt, ask questions. Okay. And if you are affected by the Windrush scandal and need legal advice, okay, let me put it on the screen for you. You recall last year we had the legal beagles of the Windrush Legal Advice Clinic based in 58 Bank Street here in the West Midlands here in Britain. And their email address, it's info@windrushlegaladviceclinic.com. And their telephone number, if you're in the UK, it's 01. If you're external, it's +44 109, sorry, 1, go right, 902 382 542. I repeat, 01902 382 542. Reach out to them if you need that additional support. I'm assuring you, you'll receive a first-class service. But those of you who wish to be part of the campaign for the Windrush Act, okay, let me also just put this on the screen as well. There you are. Anthony Brown, okay? He can be contacted via the website www.wdlegal.co.uk. I repeat, www.wdlegal.co.uk. Okay? You can contact him and be a part of their campaign. You recall when he was here, he had good things to say about the current government we have. They are definitely listening and responding and honouring the promises made by the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. We look forward to real strides in the coming months and years. Well done, Anthony. Keep up the good works. Keep up the good works. Well done, well done, well done. Again, and together, we will make the difference. Together, we will make the difference. If in doubt, ask questions. I know. And my last quick announcement, if I may, I just want to make sure it's understood. Of course, as you know, I'm a part of that diaspora, historic diaspora, okay? There are more than 250 million of us, yeah, who were transported to the Caribbean and the Americas. Okay, this is the legacy. This is the legacy. But we can reconnect with Africa. Okay? You recall my guest, and we discussed, of course, the Pan-African Treaty. Okay. Now it's an important one, because I'm going to put it on the screen. There you go. I'm going to put it on the screen. There you go. There you go. The Pan-African Treaty of the 6th region of the African diaspora. Okay, this allows us to become a part of an international community. Okay, and up to the Pan-African Treaty of the 6th region of African diaspora. Okay, be a part of a growing movement of the diaspora. Okay, it means that you will be represented in the African Union. Yeah, it means that you will have a voice through the treaty. If you wish to see a copy, so you can scrutinise and prepare to sign. The email address to write to is African Treaty, African Diaspora, without the A at the end. African Treaty, African Diaspora, without the A at the end, at gmail.com. Gmail.com. There you go. All right. And together we will make the difference. I commend the work. I commend Bolante, who's here, and he presented this one. I'll put a link to that particular podcast. It was only a few strongs ago. And I positively encourage you to sign up to the treaty. You become a part of a much wider family of members of the African diaspora. And together we will make the difference. Together we'll make the difference. Thank you. Thank you. Now it's time for that other feature of the Motivator Show, an expression of our compassion, caring for all and for ourselves. Lifestyle messages. Lifestyle messages have come about because of the acute health concerns right across the West, and most certainly amongst people of African heritage. Levels of diabetes are through the roof. Level of hypertension or high blood pressure are through the roof. Levels of obesity, in other words, fatness, overweight, is through the roof. And particularly amongst our women, where you see women who are half my height, but weigh as much as me or more, you know we have a problem. We know we have a problem. I know it's sensitive. I get it. I understand. But honestly, we have got to respond to what is a clear and present danger. It is incumbent upon me, the motivator, someone with a public profile, to share a few minutes of lifestyle messages. I've spoken to experts in public health. I've spoken to experts who are clinicians, who are nutritionists, to better understand what the issues are in regards to our health. Okay? And much of it is down to our awareness or lack of awareness. And this is what we need to overcome, to raise the awareness levels. Because together we can make the difference. So it is incumbent upon me to share with you, just for a few minutes, a few lifestyle messages from experts in the field. Okay, one expert I would refer you to is Professor Kevin Fenton, the Public Health Director for London. He has an important role to play in shaping health services across London and the southern region of England. Okay? An important role to play. He's devoted his life to public health, to caring for others, okay? So I consider, and I know you would agree, that such a person who's devoted his professional life to this subject, they're the best people to listen to observe, to note. So I want you to note his words. Listen to the professor. Professor Kevin Fenton says, I'm a public health director. Here are 5 things you can do to improve your health. 1. Mindful and balanced eating. Nourish wisely. Eat whole, balanced meals with awareness to support energy and well-being. 2. Get outside. Be with nature. Time outside reduces stress, improves mood, and strengthens your connection to the world. 3. Stay curious, stay engaged, explore new interests, keep your mind sharp, build social contacts, and boost your happiness. 4. Get active, move it or lose it. Move daily, lift, do cardio, exercise, improve physical, mental, mood, and energy. 5. Prioritize rest and sleep. Disconnect, rest. Quality sleep supports mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall health. Simple messages, huh? Very simple messages. And if you incorporate those messages as part of your daily life, your consciousness, what you do, you at least begin the process of insulating yourself from all these common day illnesses that pervade the communities, Being conscious of what you eat, exercising is such an important part of who you are as a human being. Simple messages, but can have profound impact on our general health and well-being. Simple messages, simple tasks that we commit to ourselves to improve our general health and well-being. I want to commend that advice, not from me, but from the professor who studied the subject and understand what we need to do collectively. I say collectively deliberately. We do it together, you can do it fine, that's fine. But if we do it with others, you're more than likely to reinforce the behavior because you've got others as an example to work with you to promote good health and well-being. And in doing so, we all make the difference for each other. And what I'm heartened by is that over the period of which the motivator has been transmitting, is the number of you who've responded positively to these simple messages and understood. It's not for me that I give these messages, it's for you to raise awareness that you may share that heightened awareness with your family, your loved ones, yeah? Those who are your friends, your networks, and the wider community. And in doing so, together, we transform society. Could we have that ripple effect? Yeah. Once you make a decision that you want to maintain good health and well-being, if you make a decision for yourself and your family that is to better your health and well-being, you will have that ripple effect, a positive vibes, as the saying goes. And in doing so, we transform the world. Little actions, big outcomes. Yeah? It's not your responsibility, mind you, to take responsibility for others. Others will take responsibility for themselves because we are all change makers. But what you present is an example of improvement, betterment, gain, therefore health profitability. Yeah, your health is your highest wealth. And in doing so, you spread the love of the world. And what I'm heartened by is the numbers of you who have responded up and down Britain, who've come together in common aim and common purpose, have understood the importance of collectivism, working together in collaboration with each other. And in doing so, you transform your health and well-being. That makes life worthwhile, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It gives it some meaning, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It means you're no longer alone, doesn't it? You exercise together, you develop kinship, friendship with people because you're engaged in a common adventure. You are transforming your health together. You can see the changes occurring and you're encouraging each other. That's why the Motivator Show exists. I want you to watch a few people who've come together, common aim and common purpose, and have understood the importance of working together, working in collaboration, taking care of your neighbours, ensuring that they have what they need to survive, and helping them to live longer, healthier lives. This is the Motivator Show. I want you to watch this, an example of people who have come together and are exercised together. And I don't expect you to sit down there and watch. I want you to get up and just do some stretching exercise together, because together we can and will make the difference. exercising people, you're not just sitting there watching this. Come on, exercise is good, huh? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I got preoccupied with other things there. But I hope you did just sit there and watch them exercise. Exercise is good. I repeat, exercise is good. Eating healthily is good. Having a positive outlook is good. Yeah. Taking time out and just relaxing and being with nature is good. As the professor professed. Yeah. It's good. That's what we need to do. And remember, we are our brothers and sisters keepers. Yep, we are our brothers and sisters keepers. We look out for each other, regardless of your ethnicity or religious affiliation or social class or gender. We look out for each other. That is the moral and humane and civilized action of human beings. Yeah? And together we will transform the world. Together we will transform the world. Yeah? Regardless of your ethnicity, your own nationality, together we can transform the world. Don't believe that propaganda that the nationalists will tell you that somehow you're others, when actually you're just a human being. That's all we are, just human beings. Working together, we will transform the world. But thinking about your health and well-being is a critical part of that maintenance of who we are as human beings. I want to thank those of the Countdown organization who provide this. Every podcast, they provided that example of what can happen when you work together with your neighbors, your friends, and so on. Okay. And I must say, if those of you who are in South London, if you're in South London, okay, South London or Southern England, and you want to join them, why not join them? Come join us. I might even be there occasionally. You never know. Okay, they meet on a Monday and a Wednesday. I wouldn't normally do this, but let me do this. They put it on the screen. Here we are. Let's find it on the screen. There you go. There you go. Countdown Health and Wellbeing, what they call themselves. They hold sessions every Monday and Wednesday between 6:30 to 8 p.m. They're based at 12 Tatum Street in Walworth in London. And the postcode is S for sugar, E17 1TN for Nigeria. There you go. If you want to reach out to them, their email address is countdown0405@gmail.com. Mobile number, if you're in the UK, it's 07960 803 588. I'm happy to commend, I've seen them in action, the Countdown organization. People come together in common aim and common purpose. Understanding, we work together with our neighbors. We together can maintain a long, healthy lifestyle, as Professor Fenton would profess. I hope these messages receive you well. Praise be, praise be. And together we'll transform the world. Praise Jah. Yes, Rastafari. Long may you continue your good work. Be conscious that we are all human beings. We're actually all equal. I know the propagandists tell us we're not equal, but actually we're all equal. Yeah, and we have different roles. Yep, equality comes in different forms, but we're all equal, just human beings. Yep, there's purpose to our existence. There's purpose to our lives, because together we will transform our lives. Praise Jah. I feel so alive. I've got to tell you, I'm feeling so alive. You know, I'm following the most recent podcast where we focus on the United States and that big, beautiful bill of horrors. Okay, it was brought home to me the numbers of messages I've received, that there was a real thirst for information that raises and maybe contradicts some of the propaganda people are exposed to. Okay, and it is, in some cases, very serious propaganda, you know, I must say. But nevertheless, it is well. It is well. I'm just going to say to you that you should not be afraid, though, of change. Mhm. Change is an integral part of who we are as human beings. You must not be afraid of change. I know many people out there are afraid of change. Okay? And I understand that. But change is an inevitable part of life. Evolution is an inevitable part of life. Okay? Do not be afraid. If you wish to reach out to us, wish to interact with the Motivator Show, if you're on YouTube, you can interact with us via the chat facility. Please leave a message. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you wish to reach out to us and speak to us, of course, here's my email address for the Motivator Show, 501 at gmail.com. I repeat, the Motivator Show, 501 at gmail.com. There you go. That's us. Reach out to us. Love to hear from you. Love to hear your feedback. And the feedback, I welcome your feedback. There are occasional odd ones, but it's positive feedback generally. It is well. There's always going to be some diversions. It is well. But you are the ones that are important. Okay. You are the ones that are important. Okay. And it's important before we go to our guest who will join us in a few minutes' time. I just want to remind you of my earlier statement in regards to Africans, particularly of the diaspora. Okay, I say this with caution. Okay, it's important for us to cooperate with each other, but I understand the reasons why it doesn't happen in some cases. But if we want a better world for our children, we have no choice but to cooperate. Regardless of your so-called national identities, whether it be Jamaican or Trinidadian, Nigerians or African American, Brazilian or indeed British, it's important to cooperate. Because only through cooperation are you able to magnify your individual influence. That's the way to do it, through cooperation. Therefore, we must appreciate each other's culture and traditions and traditional festivities. One festivity, if I can put it on the screen, I want to bring to your attention, one that it's been brought to my attention as one that we should embrace, and you can see it there. It's the Aquaza Day, an Aquaza Day session being organised here in London on the 10th of August. There you go. The Aquaza Day Festival 2025. Okay? It's been organised by a remarkable human being. He's also an elected councillor here in South London. Okay. I want to give praise to the people of Ghana, and in this case to the Ashanti Akan people, for organising a Quasi-Day festival to allow us of the diaspora to partake in this festival, to appreciate the rich culture, the many cultures and traditions across the continent of Africa. Here in London on the 10th of August. Okay? And it will be in Camberwell. It's an important location, postcode. For those of you with postcode is S for sugar E5 7AA. And go there and go there. Have along between 12 and 6 p.m. I'm assuring you it will be a tremendous experience. There you have it. There you have it. Aquatic Day Festival 2025 on Sunday, the 10th of August, here in London, in Camberwell Green Park, between 12 and 6 p.m. With more information, email address, it's info at Southwark Black Pen Form. There it is on the screen. Southwark Black Fair Pen Form. Info at Southwark Black Pen Form. Well done to the organisers. Well done. And together we will transform the world. Little incremental steps forward, working in cooperation with each other, appreciating each other's culture and traditions, giving a rise to it, appreciating it, experiencing it. They're no longer aliens, they're no longer foreign, they're family members, slightly different tradition, different food, different experience, the richness of what it is to be a human being. We're but one family ultimately. Well done for the organisers. Well done. Well done. Well done. I'll be there. And Richard C, the motivator. I'll be there. Richard transform. I'll be there to experience you. Oh yeah. I'll be there. Okay, all right, then, okay. I'm having so much fun. Thank you, thank you. But the subject matter for today is a very serious subject matter. The word written has evolved significantly over my lifetime. There is still progress to be made. There is, of course, still the issue of reparation. An acknowledgement by the British government, indeed, it should start with the monarch, the past roles, and acknowledging, so, to allow Britain to come to terms with its past. The Britain currently is hostile to its past, and therefore continues to underperform, both socially and economically. Britain, I believe, should be at the forefront of investment in Africa, being a part of a market that is growing, the youngest population, it has a high potential for economic growth. Britain should be on the forefront, but still, it's currently still on the back foot. It's still hostile to its past, has yet to come to terms with its past. But it did. The use of English across the African continent is extensive and gives Britain almost a unique place. I'm hoping the current government can allow Britain to transform itself, to come to terms with its past, to settle issues such as Windrush, to settle the reparations issues. Okay. I hope the monarch who is proclaimed prior to becoming the monarch, he wants to be a monarch of all the peoples, for all the faiths, as it were, okay, which we'll come on to soon, will live up to his stated ambition and begin the process of reconciliation. And that does start with the monarch expressing profound, unreserved apology. This is not to in any way denigrate Britain. It is to allow Britain to begin come to terms with its past, so it can create a better, more fruitful future. Because together we can and will transform the world. But this issue of Britain and its status is important. Okay? It is important. Because even today, issues of what happens in British court and recognizing Africans' religious heritages, yeah, is still profound. I'm astonished we're still in this situation in the 21st century. So my guest, who has been here before, a man of great distinction, will speak to us on this issue of what is happening in British courts. Why do they have difficulty recognizing African religious traditions? Anyway, let's get him into the studio. This is African time. We are on time. And let's get our guest into the studio. We now get him in. Let's get him in. There we go. There we go. Oh, first time. It worked. Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning. Can you hear us
good
all right?
morning. Good
Wonderful.
morning. Yeah,
How are you, sir?
And the motivator.
Ah!
Yeah, motivator. You know, how you doing, my good brother?
I'm well.
Yeah.
I'm well. It is good to see your pastors. I'm always, as you know, going to refer you as my elder.
Oh yes, indeed. You give me too much honor with that. But
No,
thank
no.
you.
In recognition of you, your work, the knowledge you possess, the wisdom. Whenever I encounter you, you share, I learn from, and pass on to others. That's the role of elders. Yeah, praise be. And thank you for being with us again today. And I know you've been working hard all week. I know, and to be here,
This has been a
we
very
are
busy
honored.
week. Yes.
I know, we are
my
honored.
pleasure. My pleasure.
No,
It's
thank
always
you.
a pleasure. I think
Thank you.
too.
So I know you. I know you, of course, and know you quite well. Can I ask you, please, just to introduce you, say your name, the organisation that you belong to. Then I'm going to ask you, please, to describe to my audience over the past 12 months an example of a successful event or activity that your organisation had been involved in. Please introduce yourself. Over to you.
Okay. Grand rising to everyone.
Grand
Willing everyone has
risings.
a positive day today.
Thank
My
you.
name is Dalian Adofo.
Mm,
I'm a few things. I'm an educationist.
mm,
I'm a communications designer,
mhm,
and I'm also a father of two
mhm.
boys and husband. Yes, to
I
Verona,
want to give
Spain.
praise to the fathers. Come on, let's just do this. I want to give praise to the fathers. Let's acknowledge fatherhood and its importance in all of our lives. Praise God, Master Fire.
Absolutely,
Let's recognize you. You say it with such
absolutely.
subdued voice. Say it with enthusiasm. You are a
Yeah,
father playing a
I,
primary role in the family. Praise be. Go on.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I play my part. I do my best in that sense,
Yes, yes.
So yes, indeed.
Mhm,
And obviously, husband to Verona Spence, who
mhm.
is the co-founder of Ancestral Voices. So together,
Yes.
myself and my wife set up Ancestral Voices in 2011. It started off as a documentary. This was a
Mhm,
documentary asking the same question that the show
mhm.
is going to be about today, actually,
Yes,
which is
yes.
why are other religions recognized and given, due socio-political protections, but the African faith systems are still largely denigrated and spoken
Mhm,
of in very
mhm,
bad terms and references,
mhm.
really all across our body politic,
Yes,
and it's a
yes.
global issue. So
Mhm,
Ancestral Voices started off with a documentary to question,
mhm.
in a sense, the hypocrisy and also the absurdity of the
Yes.
fact that we can still speak of African faith systems today in the same religious terms that people use, that
Mhm,
is supposedly all evil, I don't know, some form of demonic worship, even though
mhm.
demons don't exist in any
Can I
African.
before you go into all that, I realise you've gone into the core. I just wanted to before you do this, you've introduced your name, the organisation. Can I just
Mhm.
ask you before you describe Ancestral Voices, I want you please to share with the audience an
Mhm.
event or activity
Yeah.
successfully carried out in the past 12 months, just so we
Okay.
put it in some context. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Right.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
So the significant milestone that we've
Mhm,
achieved so far is actually achieved because I sit on the board of
mhm,
a cultural political organization called the
mhm.
Council of African and Diasporic Indigenous Spiritual Systems,
Wow.
CADIS. Yes.
Cadiz,
Now,
yes.
CADIS
Uh-huh.
was set
Uh-huh.
up to address or to extend
Mhm,
because our Ancestral Voices focuses on education and documentation of African
mhm.
knowledge from the
Yes,
sacred corpus.
yes.
CADIS was set up by a group of concerned African
Mhm,
descendants,
mhm.
some who are initiates into various African spiritual systems,
Yes,
some who come from an
yes,
educational background, but
yes.
we're all concerned about the fact, even in this day and age, African spiritual systems have no say, have no legal recognition
Mhm.
or protection. And we've
Indeed.
been campaigning since, I believe, about 2016 is when we formed ourselves as an organization.
Mhm,
We put a lot of work into campaigning when we had the 2021 consensus that was carried out by the UK government,
mhm.
to let the public be aware, because we know there are many African spiritual practitioners in the UK.
Yes,
We see
yes,
them when we hold our communal events, but most
yes.
of these, because of the stigma around the traditions, many
Mhm.
people do not like to
Right.
disclose that they
That's
are.
right. That's right.
So
Yes,
we
yes.
put some work into the consensus and got the word out for people to reflect on the form, what
Hmm.
denomination, or, for lack of a better
Yes.
word, that they belong to, or spiritual system.
Yes.
And
Yes.
as of this year, we
Mhm.
actually came across an application form by
Right.
Camden Council,
Aha.
where in the equality section under faith and religion, they have actually made provision for Africans' traditional or spiritual practitioners. This is the
Oh.
first ever data capture form that we'd seen that had now incorporated space to
Right.
state that you belong to an African faith system. And not
Can I
only
just ask
that,
you? Can I ask you before you go through it? Just for the benefit of the, if you live in London, when you say Camden Council, we will recognise them. But if you live
right,
outside of London,
right.
the knowledge is not quite. Just clarify what is or who are Camden Council, just for the benefit of my audience.
Sure. So,
Hmm.
as we know, the UK is broken into areas which are under local government.
Hmm.
Camden is a borough within
Hmm.
London. It's
Yes. Okay.
in northwest London, I believe.
Hmm. Yes, it is. Yep.
So
Hmm.
Camden is a local authority in London.
Hmm.
And so far, it's the first one that we've been able to attest
Right.
to the fact that they've actually updated their equality monitoring forms to now
Hmm.
make space for African spiritual practitioners in the UK.
Wow.
And the motivator,
Interesting.
not only that, also
Mhm.
on that form was the first we'd seen them make space for Native American spiritual practitioners. Now, mind you,
Oh,
we're in the
good for
UK,
Camden. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I need to highlight this point. As we know, when we even look at the issues of civil rights, we even look at
Yes.
the issue of Black civil rights struggle in the UK, we always
Yes.
make space for others. Yes,
Yes.
because
Yes.
in
We
the
do.
making of space for which the campaigning that I know Cadiz has been doing actively, we
Mhm.
just didn't see the new addition of African spiritual traditional practitioners.
Yes.
There's also
Yes.
now space for Native American, and we're in the UK. Yeah, so I need us to highlight that, because very often a quote unquote Black people or people of African descent open
Mhm.
the doors for many other communities, and too
Yes.
often are never recognized for it. Those
Can I
hard
just?
won wins that people
Yes.
enjoy when they come to the West, they do
Yes.
not, in a sense, reciprocate that in
That's right.
the respect and treatment that they give Black people or people of
It is.
African.
You raise an interesting point. I know that us Africans, we absolutely care about ourselves, but we equally care about others. And
Absolutely.
this our effort for justice in every society that we occupy is usually relentless. We're abused and we are crucified for it continuously. But in our genes, in our blood, we feel the urge that we must represent those in greatest need. It's in our a part of our genealogy, part of that high civilization, if you like, that
Abs-
in order for a civilization to survive, we've got to take care of all, not just ourselves. That
Absolutely.
compassion, your compassion
Absolutely.
just beams through, beams through. Please, I
Well, the
interrupted.
motivator, perhaps it also reflects that the spirit of Ubuntu,
Please,
it
yeah.
seeps
Yes,
through us whether we even
yes,
recognize it or not. And
absolutely.
also it
Yeah.
raises the fact that, and this is on no, in a sense, racial superiority rhetoric, but the
Mhm.
fact that our genes show we're the first, what we call humans on earth, maybe
Indeed.
there's this inherent sense of, how a parent feels about looking after their children.
That's right.
Maybe this
Yes.
this is why our behavior towards all others, even as we
Yes.
continue to face these institutionalized abuses, we
Yes.
still work for the good of all.
That's
We need to
right.
recognize that and appreciate that about ourselves.
There
You
you
know.
go. There you go. It can be quite. Oh gosh, you
Yes.
may have heard what I said earlier on in regards Britain coming to terms with us, but yet Oh my gosh, there's so much that Britain needs to do to come to terms with its past. And what we hope, even those who are the extreme plutocrats, the capitalists, can in themselves find in their heart some compassion. That's what we ask them to do. Find compassion for your fellow
Mhm.
human beings. But
It's
what you
simple.
exude is that immediate compassion for all human beings, regardless of their ethnicity or their nationality. So right off the
Absolutely.
rip, you said it. Sorry, I interrupted, but I just needed to make
It,
that
it,
point. It's
it's
so obvious.
perfectly fine. We're
Mhm.
bouncing off each other. I had finished my point, so I
Thank
love
you, thank you,
exactly that's what you added too. It's very
thank you
interesting.
very much, thank you. So, if I may, so you now presented the context, and that was a success with Camden Council. So well done. Shout out to Camden Council. I'm somewhat embarrassed
100.
in my own part of London. We've not achieved those heights, but you've now set a bar for us to achieve. Now,
Absolutely.
my dear elder, so thank you for that. Okay, and for other councils to follow. Thank you for that, and that's an important milestone to make note. What I want to do now is just move on to my next question. Could you mentioned the Council of African Diasporic Indigenous Spiritual Systems? Okay,
Yes.
I'll ask you just so that our audience can fully appreciate it. It's clearly is an important organisation. Just for the benefit of my audience, just remind us of the vision. Its vision. What does it
Yes.
seek? What's its vision? The long-term aim. Go ahead.
The long-term aim is very simple, really. I sum it
Hmm.
up in the same way. Just as you have the Jewish Council of Britain, you have the Muslim
Yes.
Council of Britain.
Hmm.
These organizations exist to defend, advocate, and
Yes.
represent their communities in the best
Hmm.
possible light.
Hmm.
African spiritual traditions, I would say, are the most vulnerable, to
Yes.
take that analogy in, of all these expressions, in the sense that we find nowhere in our history where it's given any form, the same level
Hmm.
of recognition. So
Hmm.
Cadiz is born out of that.
Right.
The realization that these socio-political and legal systems do not exist for it and must be addressed. So that's
Absolutely.
what Cadiz is there for, to
Thank you.
represent, protect, and advocate for African spiritual knowledge systems.
Mhm. I'm bound, of course, then to take that vision. So, what is the mission? How are you going to achieve it? Mhm.
We've been achieving it, or trying to achieve it, or working on achieving it by political advocacy mainly.
Okay.
We've constantly been we've written to two prime ministers as of now. We
Hmm.
wrote to Rishi Sunak, and then we wrote to
The
Keir
current
Starmer, I believe.
Keir
Yes,
Starmer. Yep.
current,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes. Actually, I'll have to check that if my colleague did. But when the duty was mine, we wrote to Rishi Sunak. We
Hmm.
wrote to the Equalities and Human Rights Commission,
Brilliant.
and I wrote
Yes.
to a few other MPs. I don't really want to put their names on
Okay.
on on,
That's
on
fine.
camera.
That's
I
fine.
think it's best we leave them. But we so far got no response from any of those individuals or
Okay.
organizations.
Okay.
But we keep it's a methodology of, in a sense, slow pressure. So
Yes.
we've written, we haven't received any response. We wrote to some of them a couple of times.
Hmm.
The Equalities and Human Rights Commission organization, for instance, this is before we found out that there had been a report that they found the institution itself to be institutionally racist, which then threw all confidence out the window, because then what's the point of that
I
organization,
laugh. Yes.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't. I
So
don't.
that's what we've been doing, Councilman Martin, and also
Hmm. Hmm.
socio-political activism through
Yes.
social media, through
Hmm.
groups,
Hmm.
and working out education. May I
Hmm.
also add that
Hmm.
Cadiz, on the board of Cadiz also, for instance, we have a very prestigious individuals. One of them is Dr. Michelle Yah Santua, who is the
Uh-huh.
founder of the Oshun River
Yes.
Festival. This is a
Yes. Uh-huh.
festival, a ceremony, a cultural event that has been going on 9 years now. Self
Mm-hmm.
mobilized, self organized, and self delivered. It's
Mm-hmm.
in recent years, we have to shout out Modern Council as well. They are
Mm-hmm.
also a local authority based in South London. They
Right.
have supported her right from the very beginning till date, and even now have expanded on the expansion. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
so even the continuation of that festival we can see as an extension of the work of Cadiz, because
Right.
what the Oshun festival represents, and this is very important, that it
Yes.
shows that even without the government subsidies, that under its own laws, which is
Mm-hmm.
the Equalities 2010, that it
Mm-hmm.
will make provision for religious expression, that
Mm-hmm.
we do not even receive a penny. We do not even receive any forms of governmental protection or provision, as I know is given when Eid comes for the Muslims or
Mm-hmm.
Diwali comes. When we have
Yes.
Diwali now, when you go into your local supermarkets, you even have greeting cards. You have
This is true.
bunting
This
of
is true.
all of these cultural and religious activities,
It is
some
true.
of which are derived from subsidies that the government provides
That's right.
from the
That's right.
tax that all of us pays
That's right.
into the
That's
coffers of this country,
that's right.
councilman.
That's right. That's right.
So where
You,
is our taxpayers' returns for our faith and spiritual interest? It's
can I just
non-existent.
can I just emphasize
Please
here,
go
of
ahead.
course, that what you're referring to is the 2010 Equalities Act, and
Yes.
it notes a series of protected characteristics, of which religion or faith are indeed a protected characteristics. Okay? Therefore, public bodies and others must be aware of their decision-making processes and the impact it has on people with protected characteristics. Women is a protected characteristic. People with disability is a protected characteristic, for example. Okay. And under that act, what it seeks to do, and therefore we have the full force of the law behind us, in other words, okay, what it seeks to do is to eliminate direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, harassment by others, and victimization. Okay? So that's what the Act seeks to do. In other words, if you experience any of these instances, and you are a person of a so-called ethnic minority or a religious minority in Britain, and you experience a direct discrimination or indirect discrimination or harassment by others, or you're victimized by others, under the Act, you can seek to prosecute that individual, or more importantly, that organization. Really is important, and the lack of awareness amongst people is amazing. So the Act particularly requires employers or service providers, public bodies such as local authority to which you refer, or indeed education providers, when making decisions or indeed delivering their services, to be aware of the Equalities Act and ensuring that people, and indeed people with protected characteristics, are not in any way experience either direct, indirect discrimination, are not harassed or experience victimization. The Act also includes landlord and housing providers as well. So it's a powerful tool in our arsenal. So I'm pleased at least one London local authority are now complying, and this is in working cooperation with the court, which I would go into specifically in a few moments, but they are clearly a public body. And we need to ensure that the court of all places, a place where we experience the law and in enforcement of the law of the land, at the very least acknowledges the African religious uh, traditions. At the very least, the ideas that British judges would allow their courts not to recognize African religious traditions, I find mind-boggling, absolutely
Mhm.
mind-boggling. How do you
Yeah.
respond to my observation?
Yes, the motivator. I think one of the things we also should look at, as we say, is mind-boggling, and I guess some of the it has to be called activism work that I've had to do within the education union, because I'm a member of the
Mhm,
National Education Union, and I will
mhm,
state to the fact that it has helped me understand the political process a lot more.
mhm,
So we also have to be a bit more understanding with, if you want to call it, the lack of action or apathy that we find among people generally. People are
mhm.
more inclined to watch the latest reality TV shows
Uh,
than even read, the government's latest release on something that directly affects
mhm,
them.
mhm,
Yeah, we can blame, and then we can also decide not to blame. But for me, I like
mhm.
to look at what can we do to as a working solution. So what I say to that, and what I've noticed, right? Because there was a case that I had to help with the CPS in prosecuting very horrible murder that
Sorry,
happened.
explain this. It's a CPS. Explain that for the benefit
CPS,
of the
yes, the
audience.
Crown Prosecution Service. Sorry, it's
It's okay.
the government's arm that prosecutes,
Mhm.
offenders and keeps
Yes.
society safe by
Mhm.
putting them far away from civil society, as it were.
Yes.
So there was a very horrific incident that I had witnessed, and I had gone to support the Crown Prosecution Service in making sure that due justice was done for the victims of this horrible murder. And in the court, this was in Harrow Crown Court. When I came to, or I was browsing the documents, because you face in the court before you give your and they give you a folder of I guess different oaths you can swear
Mhm.
when you take your
Mhm.
stand. And in there was representation, particularly for two religions, being Muslim,
Right.
um, Hindu, Hindus,
Right.
and then the Sikhs. But then
Yes.
when we look at the demographic of the area, it's also largely Asian, or
Right.
specifically South Asian in Harrow.
Yes.
So
Yes.
for me, what I saw there was a result of consistent efforts.
Yes.
That was the
Yes.
result. So
Yes.
the
Yes.
people themselves had put pressure on the government to get themselves represented,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
The reason
Yes.
this might not exist in a place like, let's say, Lambeth or
Mhm.
Southwark, where we might
Mhm.
have large population of even African descendants, whether
Mhm.
they are continental or global, is most of
Yes.
them may not care that much about this
Mm.
part of their tradition, that they
Mhm.
haven't put much effort in.
Mhm.
Let's be honest. Largely,
Mm.
most African descended people, through colonial indoctrination, think these
Yes.
systems are demonic
Mm.
and really
Yes. Yes.
something we shouldn't worry
Mhm.
about.
Mm.
So that is our specific challenge.
Propaganda. That's the
Yeah.
propaganda.
Yes, and
Yes.
slowly this is changing. We have people like Beyonce who put it into the public consciousness in a very secular way, and made
Mhm.
billions of album that praises African elemental forces, what people
Yes.
call orishas or
Yes.
abosum. Yes. So
Yes.
as of now, people have become more aware. So I
Yes.
think the conditions are ripe and ready.
Thank you. And
So go on.
what you emphasize in there, if I may,
No,
what you
please do.
emphasize in, thank you. What you emphasize in there is, of course, and let's put it in international context, the International Human Rights Act of
Hmm.
1998. Yeah, Article
Yes.
9. It says freedom of thought, conscience, or and religion. And it says here, one, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his or her religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest their religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice, and observance. It's enshrined in international law, which is the
Correct.
foundation, of course, for here in the UK, the
Mhm.
2010 the Equalities Act, which is now what you're referring to indirectly.
Yes.
And that's, but it's to raise the awareness of the act, and therefore we can enforce our
Mhm.
rights as a sovereign peoples, as it were, okay,
Yes.
with a religious tradition, and require that tradition to be recognized by British courts. Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
it's interesting as we discuss this. You of course say that the reason for the situation is, of course, amongst
It's
many,
largely. It's not
largely.
only.
No, that's right, largely, and I'm not going to take anything away from this. Um,
Mhm.
Either the belief that our religious traditions are not as I'm going to use this word deliberately,
Mhm.
civilized as the
Mhm.
African, yep, I'm using it
Yeah.
deliberately,
Okay.
African religious traditions. In other
Mhm.
words, um, many of us in the Caribbean and the Americas and so on are brought up either as Christian or heavily Christian influence,
Mhm.
and or Islam or Muslim influences. Okay, and they are the prominent. They're the prominent. Right across London, you see churches managed by us, many mosques managed by us. Okay, what we're not seeing, of course, though, my elder, are buildings or places where openly we're our traditions. Now,
Very good point, the motivator.
why
Can I
is
just
that? Why is that?
add to that?
Yes.
You see,
Mm-hmm.
so again, this is why we said the problem being largely because it's not
Mm-hmm.
only, anyone
Yes,
who approaches a problem seriously will know there won't be, there's nothing such
absolutely.
as a silver bullet,
Yes.
because the problem with the problem starts by the European establishment always making it a number one focus to destroy our connection to this
In,
culture anyway.
indeed.
So
Indeed.
we come to this state of amnesia or not knowing about it as a result of that dedicated
Mm-hmm.
stigmatization of our religions. And I'll just
Mm-hmm.
put that there and come back to the point. Even this Thursday, I ran a show called the White Juju Show, the
Mm-hmm.
motivator on our Ancestral
Mm-hmm.
Voice channel. And we discovered AI accounts now on TikTok and other social media with the
Okay.
expressive aim of, so they make content that just stigmatizes African spirituality.
Wow.
And we
Wow.
watched the video. If we have time, I can share my screen and show some of that if it's there. And it's a bot, and they try and put forward these ideas might seem like sensible suggestions, but automatically stigmatize the traditions. And I'll give the example clearly. So in this AI bot, and it's a black woman. So this is,
Uh-huh.
you do not even take it. It plays with your understanding on many levels. So you have a black, or what seems like a black woman, because it's an AI generated person when you
Yes.
look closely, and she's cautioning men about looking out for women who wear these African beads, because some of these beads can be cooked into spiritual potions. So on the
Wow.
screen, there's this picture showing some of these beads in a herbal mixture. So
Uh,
she's like, be careful of some of these women because they came not to love you, but to manipulate you. Now,
right.
the motivator, if you hear advice like that, it sounds like sensible advice. For instance, like saying, if you're gonna park your car and leave it for a few minutes, lock your
Mm-hmm.
doors,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you then actually look deeper into the message, first of all, the woman isn't real. Second, and most
AI.
importantly,
It's
elderman
AI.
council,
Mm-hmm.
every religion and tradition has what we might call amulets,
Yes.
talismans. Yes,
Yes.
many Christians wear
Yes.
crosses, which their
That's
pastors have
that's right.
prayed over.
That's right.
Yes,
Yes.
some pastors will pray over it. It might be for you to help you get a man, same as those beads. So
Yes.
even if that was the case,
Right.
because it's people who use things for evil, it's not the thing
Yes.
itself
Indeed.
ever.
If
So
well said. Please, my elder, repeat that. It's a really important point you've made. Let's repeat those words because it's people that create it. Come on, say it again. Say it
Yes,
again.
it's people that create a problem with a thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
never the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
this is
The
why
source of
even in
evil. Mm-hmm.
Catholicism,
Mm-hmm.
we've convicted many pedophiles now, haven't we?
Yes.
Nobody has attempted to redefine Catholicism as pedophilia, have we?
Mm-hmm.
How many years have we had particular faith Muslim practitioners who've been out
Yes.
there menacing people in Syria, in Iraq,
Yes.
because they
Yes.
support their traditions?
Yes.
Attempted to redefine Islam as terrorism. No one
Mm-hmm.
has. And when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to African traditions, we see this attempt to make it this one thing and
Mm-hmm.
make that
Yeah.
one thing all evil. So I'll
Yes.
repeat again, it's
Mm-hmm.
people who make problems with the thing by their
Yes.
choices. The problem
Yes.
is never the thing itself.
Well
And it's
said.
the same
Well
with the
said.
African tradition.
Well
Yes.
said.
So
Well
we
said.
see this part, and I had to make a response video to it and ask that question. So what about the crosses and the other symbols that other traditions wear? Are they also evil? How do
Mm-hmm.
those ones become positive, but the African one is evil? So you see,
Mm-hmm.
Elderman, there's this comparison that it sounds like well-meaning advice, puts African traditions down. And this is
Indeed.
a AI bot channel. Who has
Right.
these financial resources to still be doing these? This is what we have to understand about the level of the persecution of our traditions. You know, I
Yes.
never speak lightly. It's much deeper than people think, or you know,
Yes.
or even assume. So
Yes.
yes, when I speak that we need the protections, it's very much needed. Uh,
I
we really, really have to put pressure on the UK government. You
I
know,
agree with you. Obviously, I agree with you. And it is interesting. It's another form of the sort of mechanical hypnosis that people generally are experiencing, as usually subconsciously. These subtle messages are what are
absolutely.
driving trends in societies, yeah? And they
Yes,
are definitely seeking, for a reason I've never quite understood, 'cause we all live together in harmony, while they want to completely dominate and take all the energy and for themselves, hubris to the
absolutely,
extreme, you know?
absolutely.
And why I referred to, you may not have heard it earlier on, to this so-called big, beautiful bill in the United States of America, full of horrors, yeah, which
Uh-huh.
effectively transfers wealth from the poor and needy to the super rich. Yep,
Wow,
it transfers $3.4 trillion from the poor and needy to the super rich,
wow.
and the poor and needy result is that they pay more in tax and services,
Okay,
and it's only possible through this subtle mechanical hypnosis. And by
absolutely.
that I mean, just to be clear for people to understand, it's where you hear a narration, okay, which seeks to influence your attitude, your words. Yeah, that's what he seeks to do, and that's what the elder is referring to. A bot, an AI bot, which is intended to repeat a narrative, which is to disparage the
Hmm.
original people's religious traditions and
That 100
philosophy. Yep.
clearly
And
said.
they use the
Yes,
term original people, the cradle of mankind, the source of human civilization. Yep. The first mathematicians, the first astrologers, the first narrators, first writers. Yep. Yep. To,
yes,
in some way, disparage their religious traditions so that
indeed.
these other traditions can gain ascendancy. There's no peace unless it's in total domination. And that's what these bots are seeking to achieve. But
Indeed.
I am detecting, though, my elder, a
Hmm.
response from the people, a resistance, an awareness level that this is what's happening, this mechanical hypnosis so they can control your attitudes, your views, your actions. Okay. I'm detecting that the people are becoming aware and becoming resistant to such tactics. Do you see it?
I would say definitely, to a
Mhm,
large extent, and
mhm,
also because it's largely because we can find information now largely, and
mhm,
I'll put it also back on a reference. There's
mhm,
this recent film by the African American, or rather he calls himself now the foundational Black American director Ryan Coogler, called
mhm,
Sinners. And this film is a very, I think it's reflective of our times in exactly what you said about the Black narrative and understanding,
mhm,
because in
mhm.
the fact that we can even see such Black narratives on the screen, very symbolic of our relationship with exploitative capitalism and how it
Mhm,
extracts from indigenous people to
mhm,
give to white wealth, as it were, or
mhm,
rather
mhm,
European wealth.
mhm.
It tells us that things are changing. No, absolutely. As for that,
Yes,
the
yes.
change is there.
Mhm,
But whether we can seize and use it effectively for real change to happen, as you just said, Elderman, demotivator, sorry.
mhm. It's okay.
Why
Mhm,
would we still have such a bill in this day and age when we're harping on about how we're apparently growing in our democratic understanding and humane considerations?
mhm.
Something doesn't seem to
Absolutely.
work there. And then let's also not forget that when we see certain government legislations like trying to ban the right to protest and whatnot, it
Yes.
reflects
Mhm.
exactly what you're saying. That that change is also being felt by those who hold power, and as a result are making active moves as much as they can to try and restrict that. So no,
Okay.
we're in agreement. But the
Thank you.
motivator, before we move on, because I know
Of
you want to
course.
talk
Of
about the
course.
courts in some detail, can I
Yes.
just
Mhm.
go back to the Camden Council's
Of course.
form?
Yes.
I want to state, just for the record, so we have the exact wording they've used, because they've been very considerate. So the first label they allow us to have or put on the form is, you can choose to be of a African diaspora religions. This is how we knew that they had
Mhm,
some connection to the campaigning that Cadiz has done, because
mhm.
they don't separate, but they highlight that there is a, if you want to
Yes.
call it a, not a difference, but a
Uh-huh.
variation.
Yes. It's a continent,
Yes.
after all, isn't it? It's a continent, isn't it? It's not a country. It's a continent.
Exactly, exactly. So they've
Yeah.
made space for its extension for our family who have been taken away into the Ma'afa, things like
Yes.
Haitian Vodou. It's an
That's right.
African diasporic religion. It has its
Absolutely.
roots in Africa, but it also expresses itself in a particular way in the diaspora. So they
Yes.
actually make space for that, to show
Wow.
that a variation, and then they also put one for traditional African religions,
Mhm. Mhm.
which I guess is implying those on the continent still.
Yes.
I
Yes.
have my own personal issue with the word traditional, because it implies that
Ah.
things have not moved. That's where it's traditional. They
Mhm.
never say
Okay.
traditional Christianity; they say Orthodox Christianity. Yeah, when
Ah.
you say traditional, it implies something that, in a sense, even possesses no ability to move forward. So perhaps maybe I'd have preferred
Mhm.
continental, but we're happy for
Good
the
point.
for the win, for the milestone.
Mhm.
So that's the second one. So they show a clear delineation between those that grew, perhaps as a result and response to enslavement, and still drew on their parent, and then the ones which are still the parents. And then
Mhm.
lastly, one of the most beautiful again is indigenous American religions. You know,
Yes.
yes, but
Yes.
we're
Uh-huh.
here in UK.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful.
So yeah.
And thank you for that. And that's very, very encouraging. That's very encouraging. And it implies that the path to success is clear. Okay.
Mhm.
And if I may just take it back, as you say, back to the court. Behind you, I've got the backdrop with the Royal Courts of Britain. Yep, there you are, the
Yes,
Royal Courts of Britain.
yes,
This is where the
yes,
highest court of the land exists. Um,
exactly.
and I deliberately use it as my backdrop because that's what I believe we need to start with. Okay. Now,
No, 100%.
and I want to, as part of this interaction with you,
Hmm.
examine how we're going to do this. Because
Right.
clearly, you know, I could accept. I could speak to the Prime Minister and others now that in the past, what you sought to do was to humiliate Africans. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. To
Yeah.
denigrate Africans. I can accept that in the past. That was your. But even Parliament has passed legislation. I referred a moment ago to the 2010 Equalities Act, which are supposed to protect ethnic minorities, so-called ethnic minorities, religious minorities in Britain, so
Yeah.
that they are able to go to the courts of law and give an oath on their religious traditions and what
That's
we
right.
would recognise. Yeah?
Yeah.
So
Why not?
it's
We're
there.
citizens.
It's there, isn't it?
Yeah. We're
So,
citizens
so I'm wondering, and he may well be listening. I don't know.
or subjects based on
Have
the
you,
data.
indeed, have you approached, for example, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan? Okay, he should be a natural ally in so many ways. He represents and has represented one of one of the most, if not the most, diverse city across the world. Okay, he
Absolutely.
understands the importance of this particular subject. You should. When you go to a court of law, have your own religious tradition acknowledged and therefore give an appropriate swearing that reflects your religious traditions. So I would have thought
Indeed.
Southern would have been right for you.
Right.
Um,
And actually the motivator in saying that
mm,
when
mhm,
we, different people take different letters to write to who. So I'll check again if we
mhm.
actually ever wrote to Sadiq Khan.
Okay,
But it rings a bell that we may have. But I'll check
okay.
again. But what I can concretely say is
Mhm.
there has been no response from any politician or any political institutions concerned with equality or even cultural work, such as the British Museum, whoever have
Okay.
responded to any of our correspondence regarding representation,
I
positive
want to
representation
express I want to
of us.
express my extreme disappointment to
Mm.
hear that, okay? And I wish to work with you to overcome some of these communication issues. So I've mentioned the Mayor of London. Of course, the
Yes.
other person is the
Mhm.
Equalities Minister,
Okay.
Seema Motra. Uh, Uh, she's another obvious one, and
Yes.
I'm almost certain she'd want to meet with you and have a discussion on this point. Okay,
We'll be right.
I'm trying to recall the Justice Minister, whose name eludes me right now, but I will share that with you momentarily. Okay,
Okay.
another person who I'm convinced would want to sit down with you because clearly this is an equalities issues. The courts are breaking the law. I
Yeah.
say again,
Please say
the
that again
judges,
because I think that.
the courts are breaking the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty clear. They know the law better than I. Yeah, I'm but a mere whatever on the wall. They know the law. They've studied it. This is what they are there to enforce. The
Wow. Yeah.
courts are breaking the law,
That
and
is
therefore it is incumbent upon them to remedy this situation. So I will
100.
work with you to get these
Yes.
letters to the right people, okay,
Thank you.
to ensure that this issue is raised, discussed, and resolved, is remedied
Beautiful. Okay.
ASAP. This
Definitely
is
needed.
an unacceptable situation.
100%.
Mhm. And it's important for an audience, the wider audience, to understand why the elder and I can have this interaction in public and announce that the courts are breaking the law because the Equalities Act is the law of the land. Yeah,
Yes.
the
Indeed.
United Nations and the act that I referred to earlier on is national law. Recognizing people's innate ability, right to practice their own religion. It's enshrined in international law, in the Human Rights Act. It's enshrined in international law to which Britain is a signatory, which has
Mhm.
resulted in the Equalities Act 2010. The courts are breaking the law. The judges are
Yes, indeed.
breaking the law. They
Hmm.
are law breakers at this time. If they haven't,
Absolutely.
after all this time, the Equalities Act in 2010, we're now in 2025, 15 years after the Equalities Act, the courts, the high courts of the land, haven't ensured that the person practicing an African religious tradition is able to go into a court and swear appropriately on their book and in their way to, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. The
It is,
excluding others' truths at this point in time.
there you go, there you go. And it is an interesting point. But what's important, though, is that the people are empowered. We have the law on our side,
Right.
international law and British law on our side. It's up to us to implement it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But we're simply taking the lead. I know right across the ethnicities in Britain, there is significant desire that the law always be implemented fairly. Not to
Yes.
give people privileges, but
Mm-mm.
fairly.
Mhm.
Mhm. There are
Yes,
good
indeed.
people in Britain who will join with us in this campaign to have
I,
African religious tradition recognised in British courts.
I shade to that, the motivator, and I
SGA.
sincerely hope so. For me, yeah, we're here, we're willing to do the work. So,
Mhm.
yes, we thank you for
Mhm.
your offer, and we'll be more than willing.
Okay,
We're
we'll
doing the
get these
work.
letters out.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
but my elder, I'm
Mhm.
just thinking about concluding. But how can my audience contact you? What's the best method of contacting yourself? How can they join with the campaign?
Perfect question. Thank you for that, the
Mm,
motivator. The best way would be to go via the contact form, or
mhm.
just send a production at longbelly.co.uk.
Oh, say that again. That's a. I suppose I
Yes,
should have
because
had that on the
I
screen.
think it's best to go to the
Uh-huh.
Ancestral Voices website. We have a
Right.
contact form there. You send an email, I'll be able to respond directly to you from
All
there.
right. Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
but I also have some calls to action,
okay.
demotivator, because
Please go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
one of the core things is that we need to show up in the numbers.
Yeah.
As we've just discussed, Camden Council has now expanded their
Hmm.
equalities section of their all application forms for all jobs. What we
Yes.
can all do, those listening on the show, because sometimes, if depending on our experience with activism, we can only do this or so much. Just
Hmm.
write a letter. All you have to
That's right.
do is
Hmm.
write a simple letter to
Hmm.
say to your own local council. So if you live
Hmm.
in Hackney, you send it to Hackney Council.
Yes.
If you live in Stevenage, you send it to Stevenage
Stage.
Council. If you live in
Yes.
Ipswich, you send it to Ipswich Council. And however it works in Northern Ireland or Ireland and
Yes.
Wales or
Yes.
Scotland, please
Yes.
write a simple letter to your local government's office to
Mhm.
say, very simply, Camden Council has set a standard in recognizing a
Mhm.
broader range of spiritual traditions of people living in the UK. Can
Mhm.
you do the same to meet the remit of the 2010 Equalities Act? Just ask your local government to be accountable on that one thing.
Right.
Simple letter.
Uh, Again, so if I may, that's I did want to just track how they'll contact you through Ancestral Voices. Is it
Yes.
.co.uk or .com?
.co.uk. That's the
.co.uk.
website. So please, the
Okay.
best way to contact, and because sometimes, as you've highlighted, the emails can just be a bit. So
Yeah.
just go to ancestralvoices.co.uk. You go to the contact us page. There is a form you can just fill in to send,
Yeah.
and it will come directly to myself. That will be the
Okay.
easiest and most straightforward way
I put it
to
on the
make that.
screen. I put it on the screen, and ancestralvoices.co.uk. There you are. Hopefully
Beautiful.
that's clear enough for people. And in fact,
Excellent.
let,
It is.
I'm going to change
Yes.
the color. Let's make it even brighter color for them all. There you are. And this is live. It's been done for you live. There you are.
Beautiful.
Ancestralvoices.co.uk. There's on the screen. I'll also put it in the comment section in a moment. So those
Yes.
of you who see us in the comment section, and remember, make a comment or give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. There you are. But to contact my elder here, who's leading a campaign to ensure that African religious traditions are recognised by Britain's courts, go to www.ancestralvoices.co.uk. There it is on the screen. I'll put it in the comments as well. We need your support. I just want to say this. I know this is like the blinding obvious. You don't have to be African to give us support. I say again,
Absolutely,
you
of
don't have to be
course.
African to give us support. You can be Christian or Muslim. You could be Sikh. Yep. You could be Hindu. Give us
Yes.
support because we're together. We will make the difference. Yeah. I just need to
100%. And
emphasize
you know,
that.
if we know
Yes.
the motivator as espoused in every faith system that
Mhm.
we're all children of God, to use the broader
Yes.
Christian
Yes.
and Muslim kind of analogy there, then
Yes.
of what is there for your resistance to not want to assist, you know?
That's right.
Considering that also in other parts of the world, African practitioners are being actively killed or unalived, sorry,
Yes.
because these days you
Yes.
can't say certain things due to the bots,
Okay.
are unalived by other Christians and Muslims who are not so tolerant
Mhm.
in other parts of the world. So this is an issue
Acknowledge.
that concerns you because the other people now carrying out murder in the name of your religion. And
Yeah.
in that sense, you are
Okay.
guilty by joint enterprise,
There you
I
go.
would say, or
Whew.
complicity,
Well, I, I,
association.
I, I definitely want to
Yes,
come to that, but there you are.
yes,
It's www.ancestralvoices.co.uk. Through the website, you can communicate with the elder here and become a
yes,
part of the campaign that African
absolutely.
religious traditions, no, let me use this other word, indigenous. I think it's an important word. And I thought
Mhm.
about it when you were describing it to me earlier on. I said the word indigenous. Just for the benefit of the audience, why is the word indigenous used in the title there? Why is that word being used, my elder? The word indigenous. Mhm, mhm.
Right. So, you know, indigenous as it relates to origins, and
Mhm.
in a sense, first origins is very important,
Yes.
because there are different expressions over time. You know, African
Yes.
people have found various ways in which to live with the subjugation that we faced,
Mhm,
and the enforcement of religion's honor. You know, we
mhm,
know, for instance, Haitian voodoo, Brazilian candomblé, they
mhm,
syncretize it very strongly with Christian
mhm,
saints and
mhm,
iconography as a
mhm.
way of being able to still connect with their African essence
That's
without
right.
getting the slave master's whip. So
Yes.
a lot of symbology goes on, and in the
Mhm,
tradition, symbology is the source of communication anyway.
mhm.
So the indigenous is to be very clear and very intentional on the
Mhm.
type of African spiritual expression that is being referred
Yes.
to. Because one
Yes.
of the other expressions that has come about is what we call, in a sense, mainly, and you find this in the Islam as well, Africanized Christianity. And
Indeed.
what this expression is basically a very tight conflation of Christianity with selected African spiritual practice. In Ghana, we call them spirit churches. So, you know,
Mhm,
they might play the
mhm,
drums, they'll do a lot of dancing, but the
mhm,
fundamental object of power or idea of power in there is the Christian Bible. And you
mhm.
know, anybody needs to do any even kind of superficial research to find out that we cannot use the Christian Bible or any scripture as, in a sense, some kind of universal factoid. You know, the universe doesn't work like that. It might be it might contain some truth, but
Yes.
nothing contains all truths, and truth
Indeed.
is a plural thing, in my opinion.
Indeed. Well
So
said.
by that very fact, you find that what some of these Christians will do, you know, and we see even with some expressions of Rastafarianism where they'll say, if the Bible isn't what is the core, then it's still demonic. And that is the highest order of intolerance, in my opinion.
Indeed.
you don't even
Indeed.
understand your concept of God. Because how
There
can
you go.
God be about love and at the same time there's this exclusion factor? That's the biggest contradiction
Well
I think
said.
no one talks about. So the indigenous is to make clear we are going as deeply as we can to the pure mind of our ancestors. In
Indeed.
our traditions, we do not have this idea that only one person can come and save everybody. You can
Hmm.
have an ancestor who will contribute to everybody's general well-being, like
Yes.
Jean-Jacques Ogun de Saline of Haiti, who is revered
Yes.
as an ancestor and even a deity. Because what does he do? He leads the fight to free a whole group of people, not just
Absolutely.
himself.
Yes.
Like how
Absolutely.
African leaders and
Yes.
even leaders are really profiting when they should be working for the needs of their people. Somebody like
Absolutely.
that has shown what we call God consciousness, because
Absolutely.
we get
Yeah.
fruits and everything from the Creator for free. That is an example of a serious a ancestor. So
God
that's what we want to
consciousness. I
get
like
to.
that. I like the
Yeah,
word you said with certain emphasis. God consciousness. We all can practice those God consciousness to do good for others as well as ourselves, but most certainly for others. And in doing so,
absolutely.
we
Absolutely. Without
transform
even
our
expecting
lives.
anything back,
There you
the
go.
motivator.
Praise
Absolutely.
God. Well said. Well,
Yeah.
I can have, we can keep this up for hours, but I'm conscious of time now. My colleagues are ready. I'm being reined in now. So there you go. We have gone on a journey on this occasion. You've highlighted the progression since our last interview. Public bodies are now recognizing their duties, public duties, particularly under the 2010 Equalities Act, that they must recognize African indigenous religious systems. Yep. They must recognize it, okay? It's the law. And what
Right.
you're doing is, at the moment, is making them aware of the law and their responsibilities, and
Right.
therefore helping them to implement and remain compliant with the law of the land.
Beautifully said.
The place behind me, the High Court of London, need to get their act together. Yeah, it needs to get their act together. But I've been there, and they do not recognize African indigenous religious systems.
Wow.
It is astonishing. So
Totally.
we definitely need to raise awareness and intensify the campaign, because we cannot have our courts who are law breakers. We cannot have our judges who are law breakers. And
Absolutely.
we must not allow the politicians, he says, to allow the agencies to which they have direct political responsibility,
Hmm.
to allow those agencies, such as the high courts, the crown courts, the magistrates, to break the law openly.
No. No. Yeah.
Huh?
100%. I agree. Full
Otherwise,
agreement.
we have complete chaos. Alrighty.
100%.
So change is going to happen. Mhm. Yep.
Definitely.
Britain will live up to its stated creed. Yeah. It will protect
Yes,
all
absolutely.
those, regardless of your ethnicity or your religious or other characteristics. It will live up and protect them, ensure that public services, or indeed the private sector, will not
Hmm.
directly, indirectly harass or
Hmm.
victimize you just because of, in this case, of your religious tradition, your religious heritage.
Exactly that. Exactly that. And give you your due affordance.
There you go. Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yes.
What will be your closing words for us now? 'Cause I'm a little over time with
Yes, I know.
for my
Sorry. So
audience.
my closing words. I know we perhaps didn't even want to go here, but we have come up with a an exemplar or an example of
Okay.
a oath that we can use in court.
Mhm.
Councilman Martin. So perhaps we can close off with that.
Please stay.
Being, I will put it. Can I put that in the comments? Should I just read it
So we
out,
can.
or would you like?
Yeah. Uh, have you sent it? Have it been sent to me? It's not been sent to me. Is it?
It will be in your WhatsApp. I
Okay.
cannot
Okay.
seem to add to the chat. So otherwise,
Come on,
actually, hold on.
no, you may not.
So I can read it.
Oh, I've
So
got it. Yes.
anyone
Okay, go
in
ahead.
a court of law, that because you are allowed to, they have the exemption to not do anything at all. But we need
Mhm.
to change the vibration within the society in which we live. And one of
Yes.
the ways we do that is speak into it the
Yes.
change that we want. So anyone that ends up in a court of law, and is seeking on the full support of Ogun, the
Hmm.
energy of justice, we have an exemplar here you can use. You can say, I hereby swear on, and depending on the tradition that you align best with. So for instance, if you're in the Ifa tradition, you already know you will be saying, I swear on Oludumare. Yeah.
Hmm.
If you're from the Akan, I hereby solemnly swear on Yame. If you're from the Southern African areas, if it's Mwari, you can say I hereby swear on Mwari Nkululu. Pick
Hmm.
any of your supreme deity names that you know and insert it there. I'll use Nyame in my case. I solemnly swear on the elemental forces and my ancestors that the
Hmm.
testimony will give will align with the principles of my act, that my
Okay.
account will be truthful,
Hmm.
balanced, and in the spirit of propriety and justice. Ashe. That could
Ashe.
be your oath.
Asheo.
No one
Asheo.
can prevent you from saying that.
Okay. I'll just put it on the screen again. I'm just making it slightly larger. This is live, so you're seeing what is an important step forward. And make it even larger now. Then there we go. Would you like to say it again, please? It's now on the screen.
Oh, yes. I hereby solemnly swear on Nyame, Otwedi Ampa Onyankopɔn Kwame ne asase ya, the elemental forces and my ancestors, that the testimony I give will align with the principles of my act, that my
Hmm.
account will be truthful, balanced, and in the spirit of propriety and justice. Ashe.
Ashe. Asheo. Beautifully said. It's there on the
Sure.
screen. I will include this in the comment section for this podcast, okay, so that you can see it.
Mhm.
And following this interview, I will play what was the intro video. Many of you have not seen it, but much of what's been said in this interview is contained in our intro video. Okay, this is an important step forward. I know that millions and others will watch this. Clearly, we cannot have our courts and judges as law breakers. Um, they haven't resolved this issue in their own courts. Therefore, they have a duty under the law, the 2010 Equalities Act, to do so as a public service, a public body, to do so, to get their courts in order. Well
Indeed.
said. This is beautifully said. It's on the screen. And I said I'll put it in the chat just for others, but I'll leave it on the screen just for a little while longer. I want the audience to see and appreciate the magnificence of these words. And it's what it does. It doesn't provide advantage to Africans. What it does, it gives humanity to us as Africans. It takes it because otherwise there's a belief by those who are, I believe, the very antithesis of what it is to be human beings, to suggest the reasons why Africans are treated this way because we are less than. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the influence. That's the subliminal message. It starts with the monarch downwards, I assert. Then
Yeah.
it starts with the monarch downwards,
Yeah.
acknowledging African religious system. Forgive me, African indigenous religious tradition, to get that right. The word indigenous,
Yes.
you've explained why it's important, so I will use it.
What?
Forgive me.
Ah,
I'll
no
get it right.
problem.
I'll get that right. But it's there on the screen. I'll leave it there a little longer. That's for those to absorb the information. I know it's a lot to take in, and we've shared a great deal today. And for some people, this could be quite earth-shattering. Yep. And under such circumstances, there's a desire to want to shy away because it's a little uncomfortable. But in
Mm-hmm.
fact, actually, this is truly empowering. It is truly empowering. And Britain will be a far better place for this experience. I'll take it off the screen
100%.
now. I'll take it off the
100%.
screen now.
Yeah,
Thank you,
sure.
thank you, thank you. I want to thank you for being a truly inspiring guest with us today. I
My pleasure.
look forward to the after effects of this
Exactly.
interview. Yes, let's get you
Exactly.
in front of the Mayor of London. Let's get you in front of the Equalities Minister. Okay, let's get you in front of those judges who fail to ensure that their courts are in good order. Let's get you in
Exactly.
front of all those council leaders who have a responsibility under the 2010 Act to ensure that their council, their public services compliant. Let's get you in front of all of those people. And let's therefore ensure that no longer can this inequality persist.
I'm in full agreement, and so it shall be.
Praise Jah, Rastafari. And I bless you always. I want to thank you for all of your work. Look, allow me just to do some frivolity. You know me. I just want to make sure it's understood why I appreciate you being here. I want to turn on. There you are. It's a few fireworks. And I don't want to do this. Forgive me. I know I'm being childish. I know I'm being childish. Yes. I know I'm being childish. I just want to make sure it's understood because you know. If we don't applaud each other, if we don't recognize your work, we don't understand the importance of this work. You know, it's showing that when we do it, it's important. We are recognizing you. Oh yeah. Oh, even more. Come on now, let's do this even more. Yes, I want to recognize you. All right, let the energy flow. Let the energy flow and recognize you.
Indeed.
And together we will make the difference.
No, absolutely. And I also want to thank you so much for being a stalwart supporter. You know, it's almost like you, as I was reflecting, as we thought here, is in the 3 shows, it's almost like, you know, you've been a kind of chronos, a record keeper for myself. So I give thanks. And also for supporting all the works,
Yes.
because it's not just me
Important
you
work.
support all the others on Cadiz and all the people that we do work with, the motivator. So I give thanks to you always. Yes. Long
We
may you live,
appreciate
and
you.
long may you also, you know, be favored. And let's have success for the outcomes of our works. Ashe.
We will translate these words into action because
Indeed.
success is ours for the taking. In
Ashe.
unity is strength.
Ashe.
Praise Jah. Thank you.
Praise Jah.
Blessed I. Give my regards to your wife, families, and all those you encounter.
I will
Thank
do.
you.
Yes. Give
Thank you.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Wow. There you go, people. Oh, wasn't that something else? Wasn't that something else? Right. It is clear. You are the change makers. It is clear you can transform. It is clear once you make that decision, nothing can prevent progression. Okay, nothing can prevent once you made your decision. Okay, yeah, the Royal Court of Justice and other courts across Britain need no longer fear. We will help you to comply with the law of the land. We'll help you to do so. We're not going to denigrate you. We're going to help you. So together, we'll transform our society. I just want to remind everyone that before I go, because there are 2 things I won't go just yet. The Motivator Show, it plans to visit Burkina Faso. Yes, the land of the incorruptible men. Very recently, President Ibrahim Traore had made it clear to all of his ministers and civil servants that if you're caught just stealing just 1 cent, one penny, that you're out of a job. If you're involved in any corruption, you are out of a job. Yeah. If you in any way besmirch the reputation of the leadership, you are out of a job. The land of the incorruptible men. And of course, we've highlighted this visit. It will be an important visit, a visit for us to see for ourselves the reality of Burkina Faso. We'll be given royal treatment. We will take 500 people with us, okay? We've got over 200 who've committed. Put the details on the screen. If you wish to join us, we just need your expression of interest. More details will follow closer to the date. So our trip to Burkina Faso will be between the 26th of January to the 9th of February, okay? If you wish to come along, express an interest, send your message to The Future is Burkina Faso at outlook.com. I repeat, send your expression of interest. The Future is Burkina Faso at outlook.com. Okay. What we need, simply your name. Of course, we'll have your email address. Okay. A telephone number, and we'll then follow up and we'll talk to you through the process. Okay. We want to be careful who we're taking, of course, for obvious reasons, but we'll be given royal treatment. It'll be an important visit. The show will be from Burkina Faso. We'll be amongst the Burkinabés. We'll be amongst an experience the center of the African Revolution. Okay. I hope you forgive me for the other countries, but let me just say this for now. The center of the African Revolution. I want to honor the leaders of course, Mali and Niger, coming together and working together with Burkina Faso. I want to give honor and respect to the people of Ghana who are joining with Burkina Faso. And together we will transform Africa and in turn the world to be a place for all human beings to enjoy and be comforted. So if you wish to join us, to express your interest, you write your letter to The Future is Burkina Faso at outlook.com. We simply need your name, a telephone number, and we'll talk you through the process. There you go. There you are. There you are. And I hope, as I said, we're going to hit that 500 marker, and it will happen. We're definitely on target to hit that 500 marker. It'd be more than just a delegation. It'll be a mission with a clear intent to identify opportunities for places to live, to invest, places to appreciate the culture and traditions, and of course to be a part of that revolution that we've all in our hearts have sought, to transform Africa, to take its place amongst the nations of the world. Thumbs up to the people of Ethiopia who hold firm to African traditions. The only country never dominated by foreign forces. I give praise to the people of Ethiopia, and we will return to Ethiopia very soon, as we will turn to the people of Nigeria. Okay. But please don't go. It's important to watch the video. It's only a few minutes that follows. It will put into context the interviews, the inspired interview you've just appreciated a few minutes ago with our elder, Darian Adolfo. Okay. A truly inspired human being. And together we'll transform the world. If in doubt, ask questions. And remember, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. It's free. Have you made a comment? Leave a comment, or at least give us a thumb, an acknowledgement that the content had met with your requirements. But watch this video. It's only a few minutes. It's an important video.
Britain's courts must respect Africa's indigenous faiths. The 2010 Equalities Act is a key piece of legislation in United Kingdom that brings together and strengthens previous anti-discrimination laws into a single coherent framework. Its purpose is to protect individuals from unfair treatment and promote a fair and more equal society. The Act makes it illegal to discriminate against someone on the basis of their protected characteristics, which include religion or belief, amongst others. The The Act covers various forms of unfair treatment, including direct discrimination, treating someone less favourably because of a protected characteristics. Indirect discrimination, putting rules or arrangements in place that apply to everyone but disadvantage a particular group. Harassment, unwanted behaviour linked to protected characteristics that violates someone's dignity or creates a hostile environment. Victimization, treating someone unfairly because they've complained about discrimination or supported someone who has. The Equalities Act of 2010 has helped to simplify the law, making it easier for individuals to understand their rights and for employers, service providers, public bodies, education providers, landlords and housing providers to understand their responsibilities in promoting equality and preventing discrimination. What happens when a British citizen who believes their ancestors are sacred has to swear an oath in a court that only seems to recognise one kind of God? Picture it. You are in a British courtroom. The air is thick with the weight of the law. You've been called to give evidence, to speak your truth on something that could change a life forever. You approach the witness box, and usher gives you a choice. Swear an oath on a holy book that means nothing to you, or make a cold secular affirmation that feels stripped of all spiritual meaning. For you, truth is a sacred promise, a bond connecting you to your family line, to the earth, and to the tradition your people carried for thousands of years. But in this courtroom, that sacred bond doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a box to tick. This isn't just a thought experience, it's a quite ongoing crisis of respect happening every day in Britain's justice system. It's a crisis that shows a deep, systematic disregard for African indigenous religions, which are too often dismissed by the very institutions that meant to deliver impartial justice. This isn't about old tradition clashing with modern rules. It's about whether the British legal system right now in the 21st century is capable of seeing and respecting the spiritual heritage of all its citizens. African indigenous spiritual heritage to create a harmonious ecology of balance, sustainability, and continuity. African indigenous spirituality is the umbrella term for all various expressions of faith found across Africa and in the diaspora. They all share at least 5 key tenets that reflect their common source, as they are in essence branches from the same tree. African indigenous spirituality. These core tenets include a supreme being or source of creation, Godhead, a knowledge and affiliation with natural forces, the Orishas, the Lawas, Abosom, Naturis, Nkisi. Working with nature, herbalism, healing methodologies, using nature-based elements, understanding of and working across realms of existence, physical and spiritual, ancestors, ancestorhood, prayer, invocation forms such as libation, drumming, singing, offerings, and divination rituals. African indigenous spirituality. At its core is the understanding that the Creator is all things and is not separate from that created. Thus, its vastness cannot be contained in a single theory or idea. Using the African system of understanding the nature of being, one cannot conclude that there is only one divinity. Neither can one conclude that there is many creator deities. At best, one can accept that the nature of divinity is one, but the attributes of the one are found in the numerous manifestation as the many. Human Rights Act 1998, Article 9, Freedom of Thought, Conscience and Religion. Section 1. Everyone has the right of freedom of thought, conscience and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief and freedom, either alone or in community, with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice and observance. The Equalities Act 2010, Section 9. Religion or belief is a protected characteristic under the Equalities Act. Under this Act, religion means any religion, and a reference to religion includes a reference to a lack of religion. Section B. Belief means any religious or philosophical belief, and a reference to belief includes a reference to a lack of belief. Uphold your rights. Swearing an oath in a British court. Hindu oath. I swear by Bhagwan that I will well and faithfully interpret and true explanation make of all such matters and things shall be required of me, according to the best of my skills and understanding. Muslim oath. I promise before Allah that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Sikh oath. I swear, according to Sundar Gupta, that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Swearing an oath in a British court. African Indigenous spirituality adherents may use these words. I swear by Ali Dumari that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I swear by Nzambi that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I swear by Myanmar that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Remember to uphold your rights. Yes. This isn't just some abstract legal debate. It's a conversation about the character and conscience of 21st century Britain. We want to hear from you. Join the conversation in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your stories, your vision for a more just society. And if this message resonates, please share this video. By spreading awareness, you support the vital work of the Council of African and Diasporic Indigenous Spiritual Systems, fighting on the front line for this long overdue recognition. Decolonizing our institutions isn't easy. It won't happen overnight. But it begins with these fundamental acts of respect, recognizing the validity of an ancient faith isn't radical. It's a simple, profound, and necessary step forward towards justice. The work is far from over. The work continues.